Play activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, and that improves our circulation. It lowers our blood pressure. It improves creativity, prevents stress. It helps us be more resilient. It grows our brain. And there's studies to prove this. It adds to our lifespan.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to a special bonus Friday episode.
It's been a while since we hit you all with a Friday episode, so here we are. We're excited.
Yes, today we are re-releasing a Focus Friday episode from June 2022 with Gary Ware, all about the power of play in life and in relationships. Gary is a strategic play consultant and the founder of Breakthrough Play, a corporate facilitator, keynote speaker, a certified coach, and an all-around kick-ass dude to hang out with.
If you don't believe us, you can find out for yourself because Gary is co-hosting our retreat coming up May 1st to the 3rd outside Orlando, Florida called Relationship Recess. And we thought you all might enjoy hearing a bit more of the magic that Gary is going to be bringing to the party in May.
Yes, in case you missed it, we're hosting a weekend retreat all about how we can use the power of play to nourish and improve our relationships called Relationship Recess. We'll be there along with Gary and Emily, Dedeker, and Jace from the Multi-Amory podcast, creating a weekend full of joy, laughter, games, and connection. We've rented probably the most ridiculous, over-the-top 13-bedroom home on a 10-acre waterfront estate that's basically a private theme park, complete with giant games like human-sized foosball, a water slide in Lazy River, and so much more.
It's no secret that relationships can be a lot of work, and we wanted to create a weekend where we can come together to celebrate the fun and joy that's possible in our connections and in our relationships, whether it's with your partner, your partners, your family and friends, or the most important relationship of all, the one with yourself. Relationship Recess is open to anyone, regardless of your relationship status or style, and you do not have to be a member of either our community or Multi-Amory's community. This event is open to the public, and we would love, throw another love, Emma.
Love
to have you come and join us. You can find out more and buy your tickets over on our website or directly linked in the show notes. Over on our website, you're just going to click on the events tab and you'll find out all of the information there. Definitely would love to have you come join us in May. And there's not a better time than right now to grab your ticket because the price does go up on February 1st. So head over to our website, click on the events tab, find out more, grab your ticket, come join us in May. We'll see you there.
And now enjoy this wonderful episode with Gary. Welcome, Gary, to the show. We're excited to talk to you today all about play, and we'll get into that in a minute. But first off, we met you back in 2019 at the World Domination Summit. It feels like forever ago now.
That was one whole pandemic ago.
Right. But you were leading workshops there, and we met you. Finn actually attended your workshop, and we stayed in touch and are so excited to talk to you today. So thank you for being here.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Emma and Finn. But yeah, it's awesome. And you're right. It's a whole pandemic ago. Wow.
Right?
Crazy, right?
Feels like another world.
So you in your professional life are a strategic play consultant. So would love to understand more what that is for anybody who isn't as hip as we are and already knows what that is. And then just a little bit about your background and who you are. And then we're going to just talk about play and how play and laughter really can just fuel your relationships in life.
I love it. So yes, my name is Gary Ware. I am a strategic play consultant. And for those of you who are scratching your head, like, what does that mean? Basically, I help individuals and I help teams use the power of play to help them be more confident, more creative, collaborate better, and at the end of the day, bring that spark, that childlike wonder back into their lives, because we all need it so much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we did a virtual event with you about like a month and a half or two ago. And we had like 30 some people like doing all sorts of wild and crazy stuff on Zoom. And like, I don't know, we got awesome feedback and we're excited to hopefully do another one of those. And we did an event in Balboa Park with you as well, with in person with a whole bunch of people playing games in the park. So yeah, your work is amazing and we're excited to dig into like how we can apply that to relationships. So thank you again for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, and yeah, let's let's dive on in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. Well, first, maybe like before we get into the relationships with other people, like how do you feel like play has impacted your life and sort of improved your relationship with yourself?
Yes. So play is one of those things that as adults we take for granted. You know, somewhere, somehow, someone way back when was like, no, no, play is just for kids and it's not for adults. And we, as trying to fit in and be the best version of ourselves, we sort of felt shame and we put it aside, myself included. And it wasn't until I really started, realizing that, what? Life is so dull without like embracing a playful spirit. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I still went on vacations and I still did all of those things, but I felt like it was a compartment. It was like, all right, this is work, Gary, and I have to be very serious enough to talk like this and blah, blah, blah. And then there is like non-work Gary. And that's where I felt like I was really allowing my true self to come out. And so once I took an improv class like 10 plus years ago, um, I started to rediscover that playful spirit in me. And that's when it started to awake. And I started bringing these playful endeavors, these playful interventions into every asset of my life that I could. And regarding relationships, I know that when I am allowing myself to be playful, I'm allowing myself to be seen as my true self. Like play is a very vulnerable state. And another thing I want to, address, giving the title and the nature of this podcast, I personally am in a monogamous relationship. And
Hmm.
I am an advocate, an ally for people who, explore all kinds of relationships. I know some, and I'm always open to learning more, and I find it so awesome. And again, this is where play comes in, and I know we're going to talk about more about this, but just allowing yourself to just be your true self, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I remember at the start of the virtual event and even the in-person one, like one of the sort of the key pillars is like be open to making mistakes. And I think like it's really hard to explore and find new ways to do things in life if you're not open to making mistakes, if you're just afraid that you're going to mess up. And when you mess up, it's the end of the world. But like I think honestly through like the workshops I've done with you, like you see that like you're going to goof up and people are going to laugh and then they're going to goof up and people are going to laugh and like everyone's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, it gets to that, like you said, the vulnerable state. Like play is a vulnerable place to be because you are making mistakes. You are just being silly. You are showing that side of yourself that's not prim and proper or whatever it is. So it is a vulnerable place to be.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that is that, especially through the work of Brene Brown, exposing that vulnerability is the key to intimacy. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, when we allow ourselves to take off that armor that is trying to protect ourselves, then we can be seen for who we really are. And when individuals come together and do that, play is one of the fastest way to do that. Then you start to have psychological safety. And when you have psychological safety, just like what you said, you can make a mistake. You can address when mistakes are happening, and you don't have this fear that you're going to be shamed for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And again, sorry, just to before we jump into like the interrelational pieces of it, what are some of the like health benefits of like maybe that just you've seen for yourself? Like you said, like for a while you were just like life is dull, and I imagine you didn't graduate with a degree in strategic play consultant. So like there was a shift for you somewhere along the way of like like what did those when you started introducing this, like the health benefits you saw for yourself and that you've seen for other people, like as they've like let this come alive inside of them?
Yes. Well, one of the biggest benefits is that it reduces blood pressure. We have various states, and when we're in the sympathetic nervous system, when that's activated, that's our fight, flight, or freeze response. That is only meant to be active for a short period of time. It's meant to address some sort of dangerous situation, deal with it, and then go into the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. However, in today's day and age, the things that stress us out aren't necessarily physical. They're not in our sort of state right now. We're not, in it. For the most part, most people aren't in danger. There isn't something that is, about to attack you or something like that. However, the way that the brains respond to the things that stress us out is exactly the same. If you were to put like an EKG machine on our head and introduce us to, I don't know, some things like your battery's about to die on your phone and you're in your car, your brain will light up as if you were being chased by a wild animal. The fact that, you have, 100 unread emails, one of them may be your boss or, whatever the case may be. But the problem is these things don't go away very quickly. So we're in this constant stress cycle. Play activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, and that improves our circulation. It lowers our blood pressure. It improves creativity, prevents stress. It helps us be more resilient. It grows our brain. And there's studies to prove this. It adds to our lifespan. There is a number of TED Talks about the areas of the world where they're called the blue zones that live the longest. And those people, they have active play in their life. It is part of what they do on a day-to-day basis. Again, the list can go on and on, but this is the thing. I can talk to you about this till I'm blue in the face. The challenge is, you can hear this. You're like, wow, that is awesome. Listen to all those benefits of play. And you might be a little bit, curious about like, all right, how do I tap into that? Especially if I want to improve my relationship, in these other sort of situations. However, because of conditioning, you may not allow yourself to truly be playful. And we can discuss that. And I have some really cool interventions on how you can sort of ease on into it. But yeah, there's so many benefits, health benefits to play.
Yeah. Amazing. And then how about like when we then bring in the relational aspect? Like we talked about, for me personally, what's the benefit, but like what's the benefit for Emma and me if we're going to bring play into our relationship?
Yes. Well, it improves trust. It improves collaboration. It allows each partner to listen better and deeper. I can keep going, but and as a couple, like it creates these new neural pathways, new experiences that will allow you to, look back on things and say, wow, I call them peak emotional experiences where, you are looking back on that. And you're like, you remember that time when we did X, Y, and Z? Yeah, that was great. It's that sort of spice, that we need to, be interested and interesting. Fun fact, playful people appear more sexier than non-playful people. There's something. Yeah.
Is that a scientific?
Yeah,
fact. That is a scientific fact, and I don't know why that is. If I were to take a guess, it's something about when you are playing, because it's a very vulnerable experience. Your body is producing endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Those are all the neurochemicals that let us thrive. And when you are in a peak emotional experience and your brain is experiencing pleasure, it's going to remember everything that happened. And you're going to associate that with the people that were there. You're like, oh, yeah, that was great. And it's an unconscious thing that happens. That's why people start to grow and improve their relationships. Because I like to say couples that play together stay together. That's one of the things that I like to say. So, yeah. So if you are experiencing, a state of pleasure and then you're with people, those people are going to appear to be more attractive because of that, because they're in that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it reminds me of, I can't remember exactly where I saw this. It was some TV show, I think, where they were talking about, or maybe it was an article online about how to like sort of hack a first date. Like if you want to like increase your chances of like having a really good first date where the person remembers you and maybe even falls for you, like do something brand new that's outside of the box that they've never done before, because
And maybe even you haven't done.
that you haven't done, right? So then all of those chemicals are firing, all of those things are happening. And like the example they gave was like, they went for a first date and they like got a rickshaw ride like around some city, and like neither of them had ever done it. It wasn't anything crazy, but like it was new, and it was new enough that like the two of them like were like, hey, this is a new thing that neither of us have ever done. And now we share that together. And like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah, straight up, that's what needs to happen. And if I can dive a little bit deeper into that on the neuroscience on why that works, is that once you've done something, the next time you do something similar, your brain is going to use less processing power, because your brain's number one job is to keep you alive. That's your brain's job. And once you create that neural pathway, once you create that groove in the brain, your brain's like, all right, cool. We have it in memory. So I don't have to use a lot of like sort of processing power to do this again. And then and that's for anything, like whether it's responses or whether it's actions that you do. Question, this is for both of you and for you listening. Do you know with 100% certainty which foot you put on first when you're putting on your pants?
Huh.
I have a pretty solid guess, but I don't know for sure.
A guess, but I don't know for sure.
Which one?
Either.
Which one? I'm just curious.
I believe I go left leg first.
I believe I go right leg
Okay,
first.
cool. But you really had to think about that, right? And even now you're just like, I don't know. But well, I don't know because of the pandemic. But pre-pandemic, we probably put on some form of pants or something like that pretty frequently. However, because it's something that we do regularly, we don't have to engage our brain the way that we were the first time. Again, we can all remember what it was like trying to learn how to drive. That takes a lot of brain processing power. And now, if you've driven and you're a little bit more comfortable to it, you can drive and probably, experience a situation where you're like, oh, crap, we're here. How did we get here so fast? Again, your unconscious brain has control and is taking, is driving you. You're just sort of like in this sort of zen-like state, almost a hypnotic state of just like, la, la, la. And so getting to my point, when so because of that, like that's why conversation starters of how are you and stuff like that, someone will answer, but it's not going to spark the same things in the brain. You do something different. The brain, because the brain's job is to keep you alive, is like, oh, this is new. Bing, bing, bing. All the lights come on. And especially if it's something pleasurable. And I'll add another thing too. This is where, again, the vulnerability comes out. But even if you are getting outside your comfort zone a little bit, that also adds to it. And when you think back on what you did on, Saturday, March 5th, and it was something like that, you're like, oh yeah, March 5th. Yeah, that's when we went on this amazing date. We did X, Y, and Z. And again, it doesn't have to be super complex, but yeah, what are the things that we don't normally do? How can you do that? Or what if you could do something that you would normally do and put a cool spin on it so that it appears new? And as a result, you are going to be more memorable. You're going to be more, you're going to, again, appear more awesome. And I like to think because you're doing that, you're being playful as a result.
Yeah, we had some friends tell us recently that they went on a date, and they've been together for quite some time, but they changed up their normal date routine from just like going to a restaurant. But they went to a restaurant, but before that, they went to Goodwill and bought clothes for each other. Like they each picked out outfits for each other, and then they went and changed into those outfits, and then went out to dinner. So they bought like these ridiculous things that each other had to wear, and they changed up their normal, quote unquote, normal date into something more memorable because they were having fun. They were playing with that, with the dress and just having fun with a date in a different way.
Yeah. Again, it's just one little element. One, because you're being playful, you are being creative, and it's going to be more memorable. And I will bet that you had more fun. So yeah, yes, totally get it.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more creative you get to keep going.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the more that you're going to get out of these relationships, and the more intimate, and when I mean intimate, like, closer, that you're going to be. And one of the other benefits of play as it pertains to relationships is empathy. It increases our ability to be empathetic and understanding.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense too. You mentioned that we all, well, some people, but a lot, I imagine it's pretty common, have a lot of conditioning that makes this really hard for them to do. I want to circle back there and kind of talk about recommendations you have to work through that conditioning.
Well, the first thing is to just acknowledge that. And when we talked about being open that there is a new way or a different way of seeing things. Because again, for as long as I can remember, my dad always said, "Son, you can only play when the work is done. You can only play when the work is done, son. Is your work done? You can't play. Is your work done? You can." And then I also, so that's one voice that I'm over and over again for years. And then another one is, teachers, sit down. You need to act this way. That's not appropriate behavior. That's not appropriate behavior. Your brain is just hearing that's not appropriate behavior. And you starting to associate all these things. And then you do anything like mildly entertaining or something like that. Again, that voice, that's not appropriate behavior. And then again, your brain's job is to keep you alive. One of our biggest core fears is the fear of being left out and forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And so your brain is like, hey, you do that weird thing, they're not going to like you. And if they don't like you, then the next person's not going to like you. And next thing you know it, you're going to be all by yourself. And I'm joking around, but like, again, these are the things that our brains do in the background. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, you like, no. And so
but that doesn't feel safe because that doesn't feel
exactly
smart. Because
you don't feel safe, and so you're not going to do. And who would, like, again? That's very intelligent. Like, again, if we're trying to stay alive, but see, this is the thing: our anxieties aren't always telling us the truth, and it's just like, if my mom, if you're listening to this, I love you, but that you're just trying to keep me safe, and some of the things you say don't really make sense. But so as your brain's job of trying to keep you alive, it's going to say some stuff, and it may not necessarily be 100% true. And so this is where the awareness comes in of like realizing, because when I'm working with people, sometimes they don't even realize they're doing that. It's happening on an unconscious level. They just one day realize, like, man, life is just so dull right now. It's just so small. Like that square around you is just tiny. And so, then, start asking them, like, when was the last time you did something outside your comfort zone? I don't know. What was the last time you allowed yourself to just be silly and laugh just for no reason? I don't know. And then you start to realize, like, oh, crap, what happened? And then so having that awareness, then, so the next thing is, once you start to realize, like, oh yeah, I'm not playing like I used to. All right, well, how can we start to add more of that and do it in a little bit? Like, I call these play experiments. Take the context.
Do you have?
So, for example, say, since we're talking about relationships and, maybe you think about your relationship and you're like, yeah, I'm not as playful. Maybe we were in the beginning, but not anymore. All right. Just take an area of the relationship and think about, all right, what could I do that is maybe a little bit more spontaneous, a little bit more, I like to say goofy or silly or whatever adjective you want. And how can I just do it at 2%? And so, like, maybe listening to this podcast, you hear the thing about going to the Goodwill and having partner, choose an outfit. That might be too much, but you want to get there. All right. What if it's you and your partner choose some small article of clothing. You don't have to go to the Goodwill, but like the whole thing is they're wearing something different, and as a result of wearing something different, it sort of changes the vibe a little bit. Maybe you and your partner can, choose which like undergarment you're wearing. So only you two know about it. No one else does. And now you're adding that layer. Or maybe it's just, hey, I have a pen. Something different. Again, do it on a small layer. And then afterwards, like, this is where it takes a lot of conscious processing to really think back. Did I die? Did people make fun of me? No, they didn't. Did I have fun? I really did have fun. Because this is the thing as it pertains to our emotions. The way that our brain works with positive emotions, it's almost like Teflon, as in you don't really remember them. Like, you have to work to remember all the positive emotions. Negative emotions is like Velcro. Oh my gosh. You barely do anything that has like a negative reaction. You will remember it forever. So with these good experiences, you have to be more intentional to remind yourself, this was good, right? All right, cool. And then since you're on a roll, what's next?
Yeah. Because you got to keep building those positive reinforcement and positive experiences so that you remember those more and build over time versus all of the negative talk and all of the negative experiences.
Yeah. What are some like games that you can think of? Like you do a lot of improv, like games that maybe couples or people in relationships can like introduce that, who knows, maybe it's even just you're cooking dinner, right? And you've got this little thing you do. You don't necessarily have to like go to the closet and get out a huge Twister mat and like set up Twister in the living room, but like some things that you can like sprinkle in throughout your day to like liven it up, like the Goodwill example. But if there's even like other ideas you have that just to get people's creative juices flowing.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's break it down. You want to get your creative juices flowing. You want to be a little bit more playful. Let's start with a few things. So the cool thing about play is that once you start really getting into this, you're going to think of way more ideas than me. But here's the thing. In order to really like come up with these ideas, you have to be in a playful state. The way that the brain works is that if you're in a fear state, if you're in any other like sort of state, like it's hard to be playful. Like, again, we've all been there, right? Those days that just are not the great days. And you hear the words, oh man, just cheer up. And you want to just, no, you cheer up. You don't get it. Blah, 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 blah. Like, again, your brain is like in a different state. And so, so that's the first thing. Like, so, just, move about, do something, and then, start thinking like, all right, yeah, how can I make this playful? And so the first thing I heard you say was cooking. I love starting with that because most people have routines. They have, there was a research that followed people in their eating habits, and they found that people they don't have variety like they think they do. Like, you may think you have variety in your meals. You don't. Let's just be honest. You don't. And you probably...
I don't even pretend to think I do.
No.
We literally are on like day 6 of eating the same meal because we're living in an Airbnb. So I have no illusions.
We just bought in bulk and they're trying to eat it all this week.
Yeah. So let's just be honest, right? It is what it is. It's efficient. It is very efficient. And especially if you're trying to eat healthier, is like, you know what? When you start to add stuff like that, then, the chances of you doing that is slim to none. So totally get it. This is the cool thing. every now and then, why don't you, again, pun intended, spice things up? One way that you can do that is, and this again is not for everyone. So, like, if you hear something like, it's not for me, all right, cool, try something else. But when it comes to a meal with you and your partner, maybe one partner picks an ingredient, and then the next person has to create something around that ingredient. And then, you
I
might
like it.
eat the same thing that you normally do. But again, the fact that you are making this around an ingredient, it creates a game. And now you're playing with it. Or again, what if dessert? What seriously, why aren't you having dessert? And what if you just ate dessert first? Like, again, we have all this conditioning. Dessert has to be last, and I have to eat all of my food before I deserve dessert. No, you deserve dessert regardless. You don't have to prove yourself for dessert. Why don't you eat it first? Seriously, eat dessert first.
If you want to.
If you want to, like, if that, like, again, right? If you want to, I
Right.
You must.
But
You
why
must eat
not?
dessert
yeah, why not?
first.
Yeah, but yeah. If you want to, and fun thing, because I love dessert, I one love eating it first. It's almost like an appetizer. Because two, the meal, like, this is eating out and stuff like that. Because the meal, you can take the meal home and you can warm it up. And I usually eat too much of the meal. And when it comes to dessert, my favorite thing, I'm like, oh, I'm too full. And then I force myself to eat it because I love dessert. And then I'm even more like stuff. I'm like, you know what?
Right.
Let's do. So anyways, that's just me being playful. But again, it's all about how can you get curious? When you start to tap into curiosity, so imagine this: curiosity is a dial. Most people, their curiosity is stuck at 1 or off, and anxiety is at a 10. These
Mhm.
are things. If you think about things that are in your control, you can control how curious you are. That is something you can do, and the more curious you get, the other dial starts to go the other way. And so you're like, oh yeah, what could we do that as it pertains to cooking that is different, that allows us to do it in a different way? One of the easiest things, if you want to be playful, use your non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's going
Just be careful if you're using a knife.
touche. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. But see, that's the thing. Like, when you use your non-dominant hand, it is extremely playful for a few reasons. One, you're not going to be good at it. It's going to invite a lot of mistakes, and a lot of laughter is going to happen. And guess what? When you have that laughter and, both partners are like into it, like, it's going to create all of those neurochemicals that I talked about. And because you're being vulnerable, you're not being perfect, you're going to be closer. So again, that's cooking. Another thing, as far as adding playfulness, why don't we have more music just playing regardless?
Yeah.
One of the fastest way to create a mood or a vibe is music and scents, like smells.
Mm-hmm.
That is easy. We all have songs that we like. I like, in my house, I have the Apple HomePods,
Mhm.
and they're in just about every room. So I can go in that room, and I'm not going to say that word, but that person's name who starts with S. I could say, play music that, makes me happy or whatever,
Sure.
sensual or whatever. Boom. Here we go. Now I'm getting into the mood.
Yeah.
Also have lots of air diffusers and bought all kinds of different essential oils. And again, little experiments of like go through and smell it. And it's like, ooh, this reminds me of this. All right, cool. You want to create a vibe? Get some essential oils. Boom, boom, boom. Like, now, like, we're in a forest. You're in your boring kitchen, but now
Right.
you're like, you have the right soundtrack. You have some smells.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I was going to throw a couple of other ideas
Please.
out there.
See, we're being creative.
Stuff that we've kind of introduced in thinking about it. I think we need to do it more, but
Uh-huh.
we often do it when we have like a group of people. But like, with cooking, right? Like, okay, well, chicken's got to be cooked to I'm not going to get into cooking theory, but I'm going to say 165 because that's what the USDA
Well,
says.
no, that's safe. Yeah, no, we do not want anyone getting salmonella.
Right.
Let's not play
All right.
with. Yes. Yes.
All right. We'll talk
science-
about that in a different podcast.
The
But
science
anyway,
behind cooking.
Yes.
the science behind cooking, that's a different episode. But so you got to cook chicken to 165. So you got your meat thermometer. So I don't want to like encourage gambling, but you can bet on it, right? Like, okay, what time do you think the chicken's going to hit 165? And I'm about to go check the chicken. What do you think it's at?
Mhm.
Right? And everybody guesses. And then you come back and you're like, well, here's where the chicken's at. You and you were over, you win. And hey, the chicken was done at this time. So you can just like make these little like betting fun bets with
Mhm.
each other about like what's going to happen and when's it going to happen and how's it going to happen. So those are some things that we've done on occasion and
Mhm.
have a little bit of fun with ourselves. So
Yes, I love it.
I have one other to add
Please.
too, and I haven't even told you yet this Finn, because my other partner brought this idea up to me. I don't know how it came up in a conversation the other day, but he suggested, or he brought up egg boxing. Have you ever heard of this?
Tell me.
So
What's egg boxing?
like, if you're cooking eggs, you take 2 eggs. He heard about it on another podcast. So if you have 2 eggs and you're cooking them, like to crack them, you hit them against each other, and one of them breaks and one of them doesn't. Likely, I mean, I guess it's possible that they both break, but one of them breaks. The one that doesn't break is the winner of that round. And then depending on how many eggs you're cooking, you break how many you will have to do. And like whoever's the one that keeps is the winner that doesn't break, then you can put that in the fridge until the next time you cook eggs and then try again and see how long that egg will keep winning. And I thought it was so fun. It's such a simple idea. And he even said that they tried it, and he tried it with his other partner, and they had this one egg that like lasted for quite some time. They even drew on it like #1 winner in the fridge and stuff, and just like had fun with it.
Yeah, right. Again, it's so simple, but these are the things that kids think about,
Right.
like nobody's business, and us adults, we're like, no, that is a waste of time. Actually, it is not a waste of time. When you're in this playful state, because of all the health benefits and stuff I told you about, you're going to be more likely to continue to be engaged, to, there's all these other things about productivity and stuff like that. No, it's stuff that we need. When you are just being like dull and boring, like then times will be like, oh, it's dragging on. It's just like, seriously? I love that. Egg boxing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
that's amazing.
We'll have to try it too.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I'm normally not good at puns, but this one just came to me, so I have to say it. Like you start to give your egg's name, like Egg Vander Holyfield.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. That's,
Perfect.
I love it. The other thing I was going to maybe throw out there too is like playing a board game together, right? Like when was the last time you went and got out a board game and played a board game together
Or a card game.
a card
Just a
game,
game in
just
general.
something, right? And what we've really tried to be intentional about doing that. But one thing we found that's actually really beneficial is finding a cooperative game where Emma and I are on the same team. So like one of the probably best known ones, and we play it a couple times a week, is Pandemic, right? And so we're racing to like beat the diseases in the world.
It's a little bit.
It's a little bit too real at the moment, but
Yeah.
like finding games where you're on the same team. So it's fun to have that competitive edge, sometimes against each other, but we're working together for a common goal. And I think that there's a real power in that for us.
There is. So one fun fact about such an intelligent thing that you're playing this game. What play is, especially for kids, play is simulation. Did anyone ever wonder why, like when we were like young, they gave us things like, oh, our first kitchen, or our sort of dish set, and this, that, and the other. When we're
Or
playing,
tool set.
yeah, the tool set and all that stuff. When we're playing, it to your brain is like, oh, this is like, it doesn't count, and so you're in this simulation mode. But the cool thing is, your brain is remembering, your brain is training, and there's a lot of science that shows that. How we play with things becomes like how we do things outside of play. And so by giving kids all of these things, they're like teaching them through fun, playful things how to be normal, people of society. Going back to your thing, play is all about creativity. Play is all about like showing that, oh yeah, we can work together. So you not even knowing this or playing Pandemic, thinking of all these great, like again, it's a made up game, but like to your brain, you're like, oh yeah, we're great at working on these stakes environments, sort of situation. So if the pandemic were to ever happen, I'm calling you up. I'm like, hey, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm following you. I'm following your lead. You played this game, and again, like, it's so real. Like, it hits close to home. But that's the other thing with play is that play allows us to have like a brief respite to like sort of like realize that what there's that what I call the and like these things can coexist. This can be uber serious, and we can also find space to laugh and have a moment of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our other favorite games is called Racco, and it's a really simple game, which is nice, especially if you're tired at night and you're like, well, we just want to, play a couple rounds of something to like have some fun together. And that's a really good game that we've enjoyed too.
But definitely not cooperative.
No, it's competitive.
Definitely gets super competitive. So we got to balance out the competitive with the cooperative. Otherwise, we're, yeah.
So one thing with that, so to that point, because this is where when other people, especially adults, think of play, they have a hard time think of other modalities of play, and they think of like very competitive. And when it comes to competitive, that is one play personality. And when it's kept into check, it's actually great. Competition is not a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when it becomes so competitive that it's not even about the game anymore. It's about winning at all costs. That's not play. That is not play at all. We're out of the zone of play because when you are playing, it's all about the activity and it's not necessarily about the results. It's about what we're doing now. And so you can compete, and I love how you're balancing them out. Jane McGonigal, researcher, she has an amazing TED Talk on play and games specifically. She wrote this book called Reality is Broken, another book called Super Better about actually making your life a big role-playing game. Super amazing book. But one thing that she found through play is that because when you're in a play-like state, your brain is synchronizing, even if you're competing against each other. So if you have the right sort of environment and you realize, hey, look, yeah, we're competing against each other, but at the end of the day, high five, good game, it's all fun. You will still bond. She did some research where people were playing games like Call of Duty against each other. So again, you're fighting against each other. There's a winner, there's a loser. However, those groups of people who did that had very strong relationships, very strong bonds. And it reminded me of growing up. I played Nintendo and those things, being a kid of the 90s. One of the games that we loved to play as groups was, now I'm dating myself, so forgive me, but 007 GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
We used to go and play that like all the time. And again, some people were better than others, and we didn't find that like we like sort of fought like in like at the end, like, no man, like, sometimes we had like little skirmishes, but at the end of the day, it was just all about playing the game. And we had so much fun doing it. That's what it was about. And this group, like, we're still really close. We don't spend as much time as we would like, but again, it just shows that, again, playing a game, a board game, adding that in, and in the work that I do, I call that play by design. So play by its definition should be spontaneous and should be something, that we are just sort of, we discover it and we're playing. However, as adults who need to like sort of work up to it, is called play by design, as in you are designing environments where play can exist and you're creating that environment for play, for silliness and for, playfulness and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about translating some of this to like, hey, we have a long distance relationship.
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
My partner lives across the globe, perhaps, or across the country.
Okay. Well, if you like board games, and your partner lives across the boards, I said across the board, sorry, across the world. It's called game. I'll find the name of it. But it's digital board games. And during the
Okay.
pandemic, so I'm part of this group where once a month we would play board games in person. But then the pandemic happened, and someone discovered this, and it's a lot of the board games that, like, some of the complex board games and some of the easy board games. It's all online. We would hop on Zoom so we can see each other. We would
Mhm.
pull it up and we would play these board games together, and it wasn't the same, but it was close. And so that's one way. And if you want to be playful, you talked about like card games. I love having conversation cards.
Oh,
I'm
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I believe you know him, Jan Keck from WDS.
Yep.
Yep.
We actually bought his
Yep. Ask deep
was it
questions.
Ask Deep Questions. Yep. So
Yep.
we use those for a lot of our virtual meet and greets
Yep.
as conversation starters. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic
So
resource.
that is something that you can do. At the end of the day, the whole point is all about intention.
Mhm.
And the word that I was thinking of for the is called boardgamearena.com.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
We will put a link in the show notes for
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also Jackbox games. We've
Exactly.
played
Yeah,
those as
that's
well.
another one. Yeah, that's more for like groups. I don't think there's a lot that you
Yeah.
can do with two person, but like in Board Game Arena, there's like things like checkers and chess. Like it is like, and I think most of them you can do for free. You don't have to necessarily have a subscription to do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You-
Well,
You
go
could
ahead.
also, I was just say, just thinking about, you could build in scavenger type hunts as
Mhm.
well, into your relationships, and
Long distance or
right.
even in person.
yeah, just playing with that, and taking some. I think the creativity here is trying to take some games that you know as a kid and applying them as an adult.
Yes, that's a great challenge. And I've given a number of people this challenge of what was a game that you loved to play as a kid, and how can you adapt it for adult or play it, either or. So that's one challenge. Another challenge that I've given some people is one person takes a game that they used to play that they love. Another person takes the game that they used to play and love, and how can you mash it up and create a new game? And again, it involves creativity. Maybe it's not possible, or maybe because of it, you find something. Again, it's all about discovery. It's all about just allowing yourselves to co-create, to not be perfect. It seems like very sort of like, it's very messy. And so one person, so I, as a very playful person myself, I love giving shout outs to people. And one person that I recently connected with, they live in Canada, and their username is the Playful Warrior. Her first name is Kara, and she does a lot of work with inner child healing. So one of the reasons why a number of adults have a challenge with play is probably because of some sort of trauma. And so she uses play as a way to heal some of that inner child work, heal some of that inner child so that it can work for you. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
look her up. But one of the things that came to mind was she gives lots and lots of play challenges to people, for especially couples and groups and stuff like that, so that you can spice things up. So I just wanted to give a little shout out there.
Yeah, that's amazing. We will
Yeah.
look that up. And I was actually just to build on Emma mentioning like a scavenger hunt. I think what could be fun there is like, hey, you send a list of things and you say like, I want a photo of you, with these things, over the next, 4 or 5 hours or today, throughout today, here's five items. Find them and take a photo of yourself with them. Then you get to see your partner. You get to like have the like excitement of trying to find this thing, and you're both doing it then, right?
You can also apply this to friends and family or anybody that you want to have like build that type of relationship with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And
But I like that idea.
I say create those. So like, yeah, that it is awesome to sort of spark that creativity and do it. If you don't feel like you're that creative, there is a product out there. It's called the Adventure Challenge.
Hmm.
And the cool thing is that it's a book and there's different
Okay.
flavors of it where like there's one for couples and there's one for like romantic couples and just like sort of dating couples. And you scratch it off to find out what your challenge is. And then you have to go and do it. And it has different categories. Like these are things you can do in 2 hours or these might take a whole day. Again, both partners have no idea what's going to happen. You scratch it off. You go do it, and then it comes with like a little Polaroid camera type thing, and then you take a picture doing it. Now, you had mentioned about long distance relationships, Finn. For like, say this sounds really cool. You could buy 2 books, and then each of you can do like a version of it separate, and then come together and
Sure.
talk about it and stuff like that. Again, it requires being adaptive. That's what play's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Adaptive and creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being open.
Yeah.
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 Is there? We could sit here and think of games all day, and I would love to do that. Is there any other like burning things that you need to say to like us or to the people listening before we give you a chance to like
Plug your work.
plug your work, to how people can find you? Because inevitably there's probably CEOs and the like listening that like, hey man, we need a little more Gary and a little more fun in our company. Like how people can find you, what they can expect. So like, yeah, if there's anything else that you need for us to hear, and then plug your work.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to say it again. It's worth repeating. If you're like most people, this is probably a little bit uncomfortable. However, I believe in you. I know that it's possible to jump back into your play and to rediscover the things that make you playful. And as a result, be able to connect on a deeper level with everyone, not just your romantic partners, your family and your coworkers and things like that. It is going to require you to be a little bit rebellious because there's going to be part of you that is going to say, no, we need to stay safe. This is not safe. Don't do it. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you should. But you need to rebel against yourself so that you can get that playback. Because on it, there's this meme that says, like, it's a circle and it says, your comfort zone, and then there's a dot outside of it, and it's like where all the magic happens. Seriously, that's where all the magic happens. But it doesn't mean that you have to do it like, all out 110%. Do it small. If you take a small playful step, maybe it's one thing that you heard here. Take a small playful step and take another step and take another step.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're going to look back and you're going to like, wow, look at me. I'm actually more playful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's it.
So I'm just to prod one more, poke one more question at you.
It. Keep poking. I'm ticklish though, so be careful.
I think a lot of us, if not all of us, right? Like you talked about, like, the games kids play, right? And they make these games up all the time. So I think innately we're all like born playful, and then like society like vacuums it out of us, and we're sort of left with this like,
oh, that's a really
void of
right?
like,
dark analogy. But yeah,
it's pretty spot on.
Yeah,
though, I think.
It is.
So when you jumped back in and you went to that first improv class or course, it was, you said, about 10 years ago. Like, how long did it take for you to like come alive again? Like, or did you walk in first day and you're like, hey, this is easy. I've just been like hiding this the whole time and it's ready to go. Or were you like, was it a slow process for you coming back to it?
It was a slow process, but I think instead of vacuuming, let's use this word, dehydrating.
There you go.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like, we get dehydrated, all the play gets sucked out of us, like, like all the juices and stuff get sucked back out of us. And then I was dipped into play through improv, and I got a sense of like, ooh, because again, play is inherently pleasurable. It's going to feel good. You're going to like it and you're going to want more of it. And then when I got home, my wife thought I was drunk. I'm so serious. Like, I went to this class. She thought I was drunk. I wasn't. Like, I was not drunk. I did not have a drink before. I was nervous. I considered it, but I didn't. But then I went to work, and for like that week, it was awesome. And then I started to miss it. And because I'm so glad I had it on the schedule, because then it started to go. That's why I tell everyone, start doing it over and over again so that you can keep it going. Because and again, I've been doing this for a hot minute. I still have moments when I forget that play is something that I should do quite frequently. Like, especially when I find myself in a ongoing stressful situation where it's been prolonged and it's been going on, I don't know, like a global pandemic. I forget. And so that's one of the things that, to that point, I like to say, who's in your squad? Who are your playmates that know that you want to be playful and that can give you little play missions, little play challenges to help hydrate you back again? I think we're onto something with this hydration thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, but that's what it is, because we're going to go back to it. Like, it's just how it is, because our default state, as what I like to say, it should be playful. It's not. It's anxiety, and so sometimes we need those little pokes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a great point. And sorry, I talked over you, Emma. Like you said in there, like, I'm glad it was on the calendar. I'm glad it was scheduled, because I would have forgot. And I just wanted to throw that out there. Is like scheduling time to play and to have fun with your partner or your friends. Like, that doesn't take the fun out of it. So, like, schedule that shit, put it on there, make it
Especially
a
if
repeating
you need
calendar event.
to do that in the beginning.
Yes, you will. You will need to do it in the beginning. You're absolutely correct. And you have something to look forward to. It's on the calendar.
Right. And that's actually the exact point I was going to make too.
Sorry, you want to say it and I'll edit it back
No,
in, so it
it's all
sounds like
good.
you came up with it?
It's all good.
It was your idea.
Right.
was.
It's all mine.
We're so synchronized because of all the pandemic we play together.
Exactly. Group mind here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Gary, for this whole conversation. And it's been amazing to talk to you and get this out there. We would love for you to plug your work and tell us where people can find you.
Yes. So, if this was somewhat interesting and you're like, wow, I want to learn a little bit more about play, or, how I can, use this myself or with teams, come over to breakthroughplay.com. That's my site. And depending on when this goes live, there might be information about a book that I am writing called The Playful Rebellion. And it's all about maximizing your work through the power of play. Because, we have to start a rebellion, a playful rebellion, so that we can all be more playful. So, you can find all of that on my website. And reach out to me on all the socials at Gary Ware. I'm happy to answer any questions, give you some tips. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
When does the book come out? This will probably publish in April. So when does the book launch?
Oh, the book will be almost launched by then. I'm working on some, I haven't set, it's going to be in either late April or May.
Perfect. Well, either way, when it launches, links will be retroactively plugged into the show notes.
Yeah.
And awesome.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Go out and play.
And we're back. Thank you again, Gary, for a wonderful conversation. We're so excited to see you in person in May.
Yeah, and we're so excited to see you, listener, in person in May as well. Remember, you can go grab your tickets over on the events tab, then the relationship recess tab, or directly linked in the podcast player.
And if you need a final reminder, Relationship Recess is May 1st to the 3rd, 2026.
And ticket prices are going up on February 1st, so grab your ticket now and then come and join us. We'll see you there.
And we'll see everyone next week for an interview with James.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Whoa!
Wow, look at me.